Yes, that's right. You read the title correctly. We done did it again, folks. We have now our 18th. So as in 1/8, we have two shy of 20. 18 EXPs. Yes, that means all these heathens, all those ones, and then all the ones at the other property that still need to get over here. 18 of these guys now. But this is only my second ever turbo. Only my third ever fuel injected EXP. How about that? Now, it does need a little bit of love, but not much. There's a couple of rough spots here and there, just from like where paint chips had grown. But the body, straight as an arrow. I can't find really any dents or even dimples on this thing. So it's a very happy life. I picked it up from a gentleman, and this was his mother and father's car. And sadly, his father had passed away, so it was time to move the car on, along with the father's collection of cars. I guess he had roughly a dozen or so other cars. Didn't get to see them. That's fine. I'm interested in this. So this was, I think, one of their preferred cars. They were driving it from the late 80s, early 90s until 93, 95-ish. He thought he saw on the last license plate sticker. So that's a decent history. Actually tracks well with my other Wisconsin turbo, my other 84 turbo, which is also black. Funny that. And sunroof and no AC. Exactly how this one is. Funny that. I got twins. But before you ask, no, they are not sequential. My other turbo, its build number and date is nowhere near this one, and that is just fine and dandy. But yeah, so like I said, it's in pretty good shape. The rest you see so far is all I can find for rust on it. Like I said, I really struggling to find any kind of body damage whatsoever, aside from just a couple of brown spots. Cat with a dirty paw had stained its way through the primer and a couple spots of paint. Barn cat. But they had stopped driving this because it needed its second rebuilt turbocharger, and it has 110,000 miles. So parked it away in the barn, and it stayed there until supposedly this year. And it kind of shows. This guy's actually in pretty good shape. It looks like a car that seen daily action just for a few years, maybe 10 years or less, and then parked away, left as is. Nice shiny paint will look like this after 20 some years of storage. This is pretty accurate. So I think this guy will clean up real nice. You'll probably be asking about the wheels. The wheels are from a Ford Pinto or a Mercury Bobcat. Looking at the center cap pieces, I think the consensus is Bobcat. And I gotta admit, they do look pretty fly when they're blacked out with the nice shiny trim left in place. And you're probably asking, because it's obviously a turbo, where are all the body parts? Well, the bumper is in the back. The bumper skin is in the back. The rear spoiler is in the back. The skirts are in the back. I might be missing the skirt splats. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure those are in the back. And then the front chin spoiler is in the back. I don't know about the front markers. I'll look for those. Maybe it could be in the back. And then I got one piece of exterior trim, upper guttering. I'm pretty sure that's in the back. Here you can see most of that. I know you probably see brown on the hatch and think, oh Lord, that thing's going to be toast. Nope, I can tell you it's actually pretty well off. it'll take very minor correction to get this thing nice and pretty and shiny. So one more of those Pinto / Bobcat wheels. Now here's something interesting. This car has an aluminum rear bumper. Now a lot of EXPs will have the steel rear bumper. I only have a couple that happen to have this aluminum one. And that's kind of preferred. If you can find the aluminum one, you'll have a better ride height in the rear. And like I said, I gotta dig around for all the trim pieces that I think I might be short. Get a hold of the gentleman if I'm short any. It does have a cargo cover. It looks like it's got the bag for the sunroof. Tail lights, you can see, are in awesome shape. Tiny bit of fading where the white is. Not abnormal. They'll clean up nice and pretty. Interior wise, things are pretty well off. So yeah, it's got a little bit of the oh so common wear on the seats. This stuff is like used Kleenex. Any little infraction will make these things just die so fast. Piece for, I think, a different car. Transmission is very, very crisp. This is the best one I felt so far. It's freaking amazing. The gauge for miles says that is 0-1, so it barely rolled over. You do have dual mirrors because it's a turbo, door speakers because it's, well, you know, an 84 up EXP, full console with armrest. It's an 84, so we have the two-piece shift knob and boot. We do have the rounded steering wheel being an 84, and we have the old shift pattern where reverse is top left. That makes the gates very close together, by the way. If you have a choice of transmission, pick the later ones. The later ones will have reverse bottom right instead of top left, which means your gates are a little further apart. Otherwise, yeah, that's about all to it. The gauge cluster has so little fade that it's actually still red. Well, I think it's technically pink, but it is still red in the red line. Very few of my cars are like that. Usually the red fades out and you're just left with white and yellow. But this guy is in great shape. It does still have, at least in the rear, the red Coney shocks. I think it does up front. Yes, it does. Still has its full exhaust. As far as I can tell now, the suspension has been monkeyed with. I'll show you the worst part of the rot. This right here. This, I don't know how, but it's fairly common on these cars. This is like I think the third, maybe fourth one I've seen tried to do this. My blue one tried doing this on this side, but worse over on the driver's side. And for the life of me, I can't figure out how. I'm guessing what happens is at some point the wiper comes over, scratches the paint, and then just slowly dies from there. So I have to patch that, but otherwise I don't think we'll be fixing much from metal. It reminds me, there is one bad body spot. Someone went and jacked up the rocker, so I have to cure that. The good news is I only kind of have to hammer it in the submission because the turbos, they all have skirts, lower moldings through here, and it's going to cover that up completely. I just need to make it so that this top surface is flat with the rest of it, and that the bottom surface is flat with the rest of it. That way, when I put on the skirt panel, it doesn't bulge out. So I do that, we're in the clear. That's definitely not a structural issue. Underneath the hood, we are missing something of importance, but we're only missing the unimportant half. That's supposed to be a turbo, and well, you can see that there's no turbo there. We do have the exhaust side of it, which is great. So in theory, I could find a similarly sized compressor, half, bolted onto it. Maybe I can find one from the same turbo off of some other car or application, truck track, whatever. Supposedly these are pretty common way back when. They're IHI turbos, I believe, and they still make some today. But I'll have to probe around and see what I can make to adapt to that, because I'd rather not have to monkey with the exhaust. My other turbo, someone had bypassed the turbocharger itself completely by welding in custom piping through here. The turbo is gone. But being I actually have something here in front of me, including the wastegate, which is great, I think I can actually go ahead and build off of that. It does have the turbo radiator, which is huge, and the turbo pusher fans, and I have most of the air box. I'm missing a small section here, but I actually have that as spare in my collection. I had a feeling someday I would need it. Because my other turbo was actually missing this whole top lid, but I think I had acquired a spare for it, so not a spare, a replacement. And it came with all the piping. But the good news is, since I have all that piping, only the one set, and I need two, I can go and duplicate as needed. So we will be doing that. Otherwise, from what I can tell in here, everything is okay. Normal stuff, and I look inside. The engine hasn't been hopped up, at least not up top. Still rocking just hydraulic lifters and cam. So nothing crazy, sadly. And that's a shame. That means that out of my 18 EXPs, none of them have had any engine upgrades inside of them. I've gotten a few where like the thermostats been monkeyed with, fan switches, or exhaust, emissions, little crap like that. No one's gone and actually spent money on performance upgrades on any of these. But if I'm perfectly honest, I haven't either. I've only been going through and I just find the best stuff that I can from factory hardware, from combinations of later cars and earlier cars, find the best of each, kind of throw it at it, especially if I can get them new, like the camshafts, and then I go from there. Usually, with just that, the difference in performance is spectacular. Like, you will go from having a complaint, and not with the turbo, standard car, complain about your 0 to 60 you're getting on the highway, fair enough. Complain about passing people, fair enough. A few minor upgrades to your existing engine, even if it's just the normal 1.6, not even the high output. A few modifications done on the cheap, you will no longer have any complaints. And then if you don't mind spending a tiny bit of money, you will actually have something to brag about. Now, the turbo, it starts at a higher premium out of the gate. Out of the factory, it's making darn near double what that is. So 70 horsepower, 120. That's fantastic. It's just there. And that's before we do anything. We haven't played with the head, we haven't played with ignition timing, better cam timing. Messing with the EFI, playing with the turbo, putting in the intercooler, all that stuff. Road to 200 horsepower, pretty easy. Road to 120 horsepower, very easy. Pretty cheap. But the turbo route is spendy. But yeah, we'll go from there. Anywho, my point was, I got this car so that I have a turbo to restore, and I need to get better versed with the EFI restoration and troubleshooting. You guys are writing me all the time with your EFI cars because hardly anyone out there can help you. I get that. It's just the EFI cars are pretty rare as a whole. The EXPs at the least. 90,000 in the first year. Turbo cars, 10,000 or less in total across 2 years. But I think that's even including all the escorts. So that's really limiting things. So we will together be able to go through this guy in a stock format. My other one will be very hopped up. Now, this one will be very, very modest. It will be darn near stock, except it's definitely getting an intercooler, definitely getting a better turbo, and we're definitely doing some head work and some sort of camshaft. I have to decide which one I want, and valve train. But then this guy will be ready to freaking rip in a, like I said, very modest form. The other one's going to be more hardcore. This, I imagine, will do 150 horsepower, easy peasy. The other one, we're looking well north of 200, hopefully 250 or so. Going to be pretty easy. Anywho, those are all videos for a different time. If there's something specific you want to see, let me know. It won't be until spring that I can start working with this. We do have to tend to a few other cars first. I was slowly puking them out here because, like I said, I got 18 of these, and I still got 4 Escorts. Well, I think 5 if you want to get technical. We still have 4 Escorts, and we have to go through things in a fair manner, and things that are oldest do take priority. However, I do know that you guys are asking all the time for help with the EFI. I'm going to do everything I can to help you guys. This will be my learning device, and we'll go from there. So if there's anything in particular you're looking for, just let me know. Hopefully in the spring we'll be able to stick a battery in this guy. We'll start troubleshooting the entire fuel system, the ignition system, and I do have a turbo I can put in it, worst case scenario. And then we can start playing with tuning, and then we'll have some videos on some very easy modifications for you guys to do for more power. So how does that sound? So we'll leave it at this, and we hope we can see you soon, but yeah.